Why is it so hard to escape poverty? You work hard, you try to save, you do what they tell you to do, but somehow you're still stuck. And the worst part, you start to think the problem is only you. Like maybe you're just not smart enough or disciplined enough, but that's not it. The truth is, the game isn't fair. Life isn't fair, but you can win anyway. Because sitting down and crying won't help, but figuring out how to deal with it will. And as they said in the proveb, a problem well stated is a problem half solved. So in this video, I'm going to break down what's really keeping you from building wealth and how to fight back. Because once you see the game for what it is, you stop playing like a pawn. Well, please don't forget to like and subscribe to be part of our community. Let's dive in. The first part of this video is, why is it so hard to escape poverty? Well, here's something that'll blow your mind. 70% of lottery winners go broke within 5 years. I mean, think about it. These people literally hit the jackpot. They went from having nothing to having millions, and yet most of them end up right back where they started, or worse. Now, before you say, well, that's just because they're stupid with money, think about it. Poor people usually already have debts. Poor people are usually born into poor families and need to provide financial support for these people. Poor people, when they earn money, first need to solve the problems they were born with or inherited, such as buying a house they never had. And if you think this is just a third world problem, you're dead wrong. Right here in America, 40% of people can't cover a $400 emergency expense. That's 130 million Americans living paycheck to paycheck, not because they're lazy, but because they're caught in the same mathematical trap that's been keeping people poor for generations. Here's the brutal equation that keeps people trapped. Let me show you something called the wealth escape velocity and why most people never reach it. Think of poverty like gravity.
To escape Earth's gravity, a rocket needs to reach 25,000 miles per hour.
Below that speed, it doesn't matter how hard you push, you're coming back down. Wealth works the same way. There's a mathematical threshold you need to cross. And here's the kicker. The system is designed to keep you just below that threshold. Take Maria making $45,000 a year in Dallas. After taxes, she takes home $12,800 monthly. Her fixed costs, rent, car, insurance, food, eat up $12,600. That leaves her $200 to save, right? Wrong. Because she's operating so close to the edge, every month brings what economists call volatility costs. Car, needs new tires, $400, got sick, missed work, $300, kids needed school supplies, $150. So instead of saving $200, she's actually going backwards $250 every month. She's not building wealth, she's paying the poor tax. But here's where it gets really twisted. Let's say Maria gets a raise to $55,000. You'd think that extra $10,000 would help her escape, right? Plot twist, it makes things worse because now she loses her Medicaid eligibility. Her food stamp benefits get cut. Her rent assistance disappears. That $10,000 raise actually costs her $15,000 in benefits. This is what economists call the benefits cliff, and it's not an accident. The system has a mathematical incentive to keep you poor, and the numbers prove it. According to the Congressional Budget Office, a single mother in Pennsylvania making $29,000 would need to earn $69,000 to have the same spending power after losing benefits. That's not a ladder, that's a 40,000-foot wall. But here's what nobody tells you. There is a way to escape velocity, and it's not what you think.
It takes us to the second topic, how to actually escape poverty. So if the system is rigged against you, how do you win? Most financial advice tells you to just save more or cut out the lattes. That's like telling someone drowning to just swim harder. It completely ignores the mathematical reality we just uncovered. The real answer? You don't escape poverty by playing their game better. You escape by changing the game entirely. And you know what? It's not by investing. Why? Well, when people talk about investing, most of them think the most important thing is how much their money grows, the return, the percentage. But in real life, what actually moves the needle, and especially at the beginning, is how much you're able to invest consistently. Your monthly contributions are the engine. They're what fuel the machine. To really understand this, just look at a few examples. Imagine you invest $1,000 up front and never add another dollar. Even with a solid return of 1% per month, about 12.7% annually, after 20 years, you'd have only $10,192. Now take that same scenario and add just $100 per month. The final result, $109,818. That's 10 times more. Not because of higher returns, but because you kept feeding the investment. Now let's say you invest $500 per month. After 20 years, that grows to about $505,520. And if you raise your monthly contribution to $1,000, you break the $1 million mark. mark. That's how compound interest really works. It needs raw material, and that material comes from your contributions. But what if you just tried to rely on a higher return instead? Let's say you keep the original $1,000 but earn 2% per month, around 26.8% per year, which, let's be honest, is extremely hard to maintain for 20 years. Even then, your total after 20 years would be 115,180 hours. That's barely more than the person who just invested 100 month at 1% return. In other words, doubling the return barely beats basic consistency. What about dropping a big lump sum at the beginning? If you invest $10,000 and never touch it again, you'd end up with $108,925 after 20 years. Again, not much better than the guy who started with $1,000 and added $100 every month. To beat the person who contributed $1,000 monthly for 20 years, you'd need to invest $100,000 up front. And let's be real, most people don't have that kind of money lying around. Truth is, monthly contributions are more powerful than most people think. They don't just build your wealth, they feed compound interest so it can actually do its job. Yes, returns matter, but it's consistency that turns a plan into real results. So I'm telling you not to invest? Of course not, bro. You absolutely need to invest to get rich. But you need to understand that investing is just a potentializer. To get rich, especially if you want to do it in less than 10 years from now, you're going to have to play a different game. You're going to have to earn more. Because let's face it, if you're earning very little and struggling to pay the minimum bills, it's going to be very difficult to build up wealth. And investing is also a long-term game. Like consistently investing $100 will make you rich eventually, but do you want to be rich only at 65? I don't think so. See, here's what the wealthy figured out centuries ago, something they don't teach in schools, something that separates the people who stay poor from those who break free. Wealthy people don't trade time for money. They trade leverage for money. And there are only 3 ways to create leverage in this world. The level 1 is selling your hours. This is where most people get stuck. You trade 8 hours for $200. Want more money? Work more hours. But here's the brutal math. Even if you make 100-hour working 80 hours a week, you cap out at $16,000 per year, and you'll burn out before you get there. The level 2 is selling projects, and this is where the game changes. Instead of selling hours, you sell outcomes. A website that takes you 20 hours to build, you don't charge $1,000, 20 hours times $50. You charge $5,000 because it'll make the client $50,000. Same 20 hours, 5x the money. The level 3 is buying other people's hours, and this is where real wealth happens. You hire someone for 25 hours to do work you can sell for 100 hours. You just created 75 hours in profit without working. Scale this to 10 people, that's 750 hours while you sleep. Here's the math that changes everything. Let's say you're making $40,000 a year selling your hours. That's roughly 20 hours. This is the traditional trap. In year 1, you work 2,000 hours, make $40,000. In year 5, you get raises, work 2,000 hours, make $50,000. In year 10, you work 2,000 hours, make $60,000, but you're still trading time for money. And this is the leverage path. In the year 1, you learn a skill and eventually start selling projects, so start to make $60,000 with this. In year 2, you raise prices, systemize, and now make $100,000. In year 3, you hire first person, buy their hours, and now make $150,000. In year 5, hire a team of 5 people, and now make $300,000. Your income becomes disconnected from your time. But here's where the second level thinking comes in. Most people fail this transition because they're asking the wrong question. They ask, how do I make more money? The right question is, how do I solve more expensive problems? See, there's a hidden economic law that nobody talks about. The value of a solution is proportional to the pain it removes times the number of people experiencing that pain. The equation is pain times people equals price. Let me show you exactly how this works. The first step is the level 1 to level 2 transition, and I call it the deep work stage. Most people think going from employee to freelancer means doing the same job for different clients. Wrong. That's still trading hours for money. The real transition happens when you understand this. Your employer is paying you 20 hours for work they're selling for 100 hours. They're keeping that $80 difference. Why? Because they found the client, they took the risk, they created the system. But here's what they don't want you to realize. Once you understand their system, you can replicate it. Here's the step-by-step. Step 1, identify the real problem. Your boss isn't paying you to do graphic design. They're paying you to make their clients look professional so they can charge premium prices. The skill is commoditized, the outcome is valuable. Step 2, find the economic leverage point. Ask yourself, what's the most expensive consequence of this problem not being solved? If bad design costs a client $50,000 in lost sales, your solution solution is worth $10,000, not $500. Step 3, package the outcome, not the process. Don't sell 20 hours of design work. Sell a brand identity that positions you as the premium option in your market. Same work, 10 times the price. Now going to the level 2 to level 3 transition, and I'll call it the invisible shift. Here's where it gets really interesting. Most entrepreneurs get stuck in level 2 because they're still thinking like employees. They think success means charging more for their time, but the wealthy think differently. They ask, how do I remove myself from the value creation process? This is counterintuitive because everything you've been taught says work harder, be more involved, but that's employee thinking. The real breakthrough happens when you realize this. Your clients don't actually want you. They want the result you produce. And if someone else can produce that same result for less money, you can capture the difference. Step 1, document your process. Every time you solve a problem, write down exactly what you did, not what you thought, what you actually did. Most people skip this because they think their process is intuitive. But intuition can't be scaled. Step 2, find your bottleneck. Track where you spend time. You'll discover that 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. The other 80% of your time, that's what you hire for first. Step 3, hire someone at 25-hour to do the 100-hour work. But here's the second level thinking. Don't hire them to do the work. Hire them to do the work while you watch. Train them to get the same results you get. Most people fail here because they hire wrong. They hire graphic designers or marketers. Instead, hire problem solvers who happen to use design or revenue generators who happen to use marketing. But here's the deepest level. Why the system keeps people trapped in level 1. It's not about capability, it's about identity. Poor people identify as workers. Middle class identify as professionals. Wealthy people identify as problem solvers. When you identify as a worker, you ask, how much will you pay me? When you identify as a professional, you ask, what's my hourly rate? When you identify as a problem solver, you ask, what's this problem costing you? Trading hours for money keeps you poor. Buying other people's hours makes you rich. And the progression is predictable once you understand it. But here's the one final piece that changes everything, I swear. Morgan Housel, in The Psychology of Money, discovered something profound through decades of research. The highest form of wealth isn't money, it's time freedom. And the data backs this up in ways that'll blow your mind. A Harvard study show that people who value time over money report significantly greater happiness, better moods, and less stress, regardless of income, gender, or job. Think about it. A CEO making $500K who works 80 hours a week and can't miss a meeting is less free than someone making $100K who controls their schedule. This is why the 3-level progression matters so much. In the first level, you trade freedom for security. Your boss owns your time from 9 to 5. You can't take a vacation without permission. You can't spend Tuesday afternoon with your kids. Your time belongs to someone else. In the second level, you trade some security for freedom. You control when you work, but you're still trading time for money. Miss a deadline, lose income, get sick, lose income. Your time is still tied to your money. In the third level, you finally achieve what Housel calls the ultimate wealth, time sovereignty. Your income flows whether you're working, sleeping, or spending a month in Europe. Your time becomes truly yours. The real tragedy of poverty isn't the lack of money, it's the theft of time. When you're poor, you spend hours in lines at government offices, hours on buses because you can't afford a car, hours on the phone with creditors, hours working multiple jobs just to survive. Poverty doesn't just steal your money, it steals your life. But when you understand the progression from selling hours, selling projects, buying hours, you're not just building wealth, you're buying back your time, you're reclaiming your life, and that's not just about money. According to Housel's research, people with time freedom live longer, have better relationships, and contribute more to their communities. The question isn't whether you can afford to make this transition. The question is, can you afford not to? Because every day you stay trapped in level 1, you're not just losing money, you're losing time you'll never get back. Well, that's it, cousins. Stay invested.